Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. And if it's your first time here, well, welcome. As you can see, I've got a different setup today. I am actually not flying on an airplane. I am just sitting here talking to the camera because I've got an interesting story to share with you about a particular flight. My channel, as you know, focuses very heavily on air traffic control, and I'm going to talk about the story of a flight that happened not too long ago from an air traffic perspective. I think you'll be interested in this story. You're not going to get those great New York City views this time, but I want to talk about how a certain flight operated the way it operated with a special situation from one airport to another, and we'll talk about the environment and the context in which the flight operated. But before I get started, I just want to thank each and every single one of you for your support. My channel is growing, I'm getting more subscribers, and I just have to say that I am so happy with the comments that you're putting in the comment section below. Everything is so positive, and I really appreciate the great things that you're saying about my channel. And listen, if you're not a subscriber to my channel, I invite you to click on that subscribe button below, hit the bell button, hit the like button. You will not be disappointed. I've got some really unique content, and if you are a subscriber, please help me by spreading the word about my channel. I think that a lot of other people out there will like it. Today I'm going to talk about a flight out of my favorite airport, LaGuardia Airport. This is an Endeavor Air flight. Endeavor Air is a fraction of Delta Airlines. It was a flight that was operating from LaGuardia to Savannah. However, the destination changed from Savannah to JFK due to an issue on board. So what I'll be doing during this video is I will be replaying the air traffic control step by step, and I'll be analyzing it. You're not going to get any visuals for this video. I'm not going to have a map on the screen because I really want to focus on what's going on from what we can hear and what we can make out of it. So stay tuned for this great video coming up. Okay, so this incident occurred on May 11th, 2023, and it involved an Endeavor Air regional jet, a CRJ900, operating from LaGuardia Airport to Savannah, Georgia. This was a standard flight, a regularly scheduled flight that took off on runway 13 at LaGuardia, but once the aircraft became airborne, there were some issues, and air traffic control played a very important role in getting this flight to its new destination. The flight did not continue on to Savannah. The air traffic controllers declared an emergency for this flight, and it safely got to its new destination of JFK Airport. The flight duration was about 1 hour, so a lot of things actually did happen for this very short distance flight from LaGuardia to JFK, but the time was needed to resolve the issue that occurred. So I'm going to take you through all the different steps that occurred during this particular flight. This aircraft was about 10 years old. It was delivered directly to Endeavor Air, operating for Delta Airlines, and it's been flying around for many years with no incident. This is quite an interesting story. So this aircraft was about to take off on runway 13 at LaGuardia Airport, and its destination, of course, as I mentioned, was Savannah, Georgia. As the aircraft became airborne, the pilot contacted the New York departure controller. So I'm going to skip all the air traffic control from the ground. It was pretty uneventful. As you know from all my videos, after the aircraft pushes back from the gate at LaGuardia, they then contact the ground controller who provides taxi instructions to the runway. Then that ground controller hands the aircraft off to the tower controller. The tower controller issues takeoff clearance, and once the aircraft is airborne, the aircraft contacts New York departure control. In this particular flight, the aircraft is going to take off on runway 13 and is going to fly the tennis climb. And by the way, if you haven't seen my recent video about me flying on the tennis climb, go check it out. It's a great video. You'll get a great idea of what the view is like on departure on the tennis climb. So the pilot is about to check in with the departure controller. So I'm going to have you listen into the air traffic control right now. It's pretty uneventful, but be advised, it is very difficult to hear the pilot. I think there's some sort of problem with the radio. Let's listen into air traffic control.
Departure, good afternoon, 5145, climbing to 1000 for 5000, we have Tennessee.
American 2068, contact 120.85.
0085 to 2068.
Chronos 104, New York departure, LaGuardia, altimeter 3001, advise when you're ready to start the descent.
01, Wilco, Chronos 104.
Endeavor 5145, New York departure, radar contact, climb maintain 8000, stay out to leaving.
We'll climb to 8000, we're leaving 2100 now, Endeavor 5145.
Endeavor 5145, just be advised, your readback was barely readable. It came in very staticky and broken up.
We're climbing to 2400 now. We're going to continue to 8000, Endeavor 5145. Is this any better?
I heard you, but barely.
Same here. You hear her, but barely. By the way, I am looking down at my laptop here where I do have the audio, so you will occasionally see me trying to figure out exactly where we are in the tape. So the plane contacted the departure controller, got its clearance, and is flying the tennis climb. Now, the tennis climb requires you to fly runway heading for a short period of time and then make a left-hand turn to the northeast to around a 40-degree heading. So that obviously is away from the direction of Savannah, which is located to the south of LaGuardia Airport. And this aircraft's initial departure fix is also to the south of the airport. So the idea is that the controller will have the aircraft fly the tennis climb, fly runway heading on runway 13, then make that left-hand turn to northeast. And then the controller will give the aircraft some radar vectors to the pilot to get to the initial departure fix to the south before proceeding on course with the flight. So let's listen to the next transmission that was told to this particular flight.
Endeavor 5145, turn left, 270.
Last 270, number 5145.
So after flying the tennis climb, the pilot is no longer actually flying the tennis climb anymore because the controller came in and said turn left heading 270. So that's heading to west. So it kind of makes sense that you're going to be making another left-hand turn. You fly runway heading 130 degrees after takeoff, and then once you get to a certain point, you make a left-hand turn to northeast, and then the controller has the pilot make a left-hand turn to 270 degrees west. What am I thinking? Well, eventually the controller is going to give the aircraft another left-hand turn to head down towards the south to get to the initial departure fix. So let's listen into the next transmission here.
Endeavor 5145, turn left, 240.
Last 240, number 5145.
That makes total sense. A left turn to 240 degrees brings you around LaGuardia Airport over the Bronx, and this left-hand turn to the southwest brings you in the direction to the southwest, which is where the departure fix is, and eventually that's where Savannah will be. So everything is operating quite normally at this point. Now, do note that the air traffic controller, New York Departure Control, is indeed talking to other aircraft. I'm not going to play all those transmissions on the frequency because there's a lot of talking and I want to be able to explain over that. But the air traffic controller is talking to other pilots that are not just taking off from LaGuardia, but are also taking off from Newark that are passing through the airspace, so he's actually quite busy. So when he tells the pilot to turn left, he expects the pilot to turn left. The next transmission occurs here.
Endeavor 5145, turn right, heading 290.
Right heading 290, number 5145.
Right turn 290. So that's another turn a little bit more towards the west. Something is a little bit strange over here. Why would the controller have the aircraft turn more to the right when you're already heading down towards the departure fix? Well, my guess, and I don't have access to the radar, I don't see what's going on. My guess is that the departure fix is probably swamped. There's too many aircraft that are heading in that direction, so the air traffic controller just wants to keep the pilot in his airspace for a little bit longer. Let's listen to the next transmission.
Endeavor 5145, climb maintain 12000.
Maintain 12000 there, 5145.
Okay, that transmission was to climb to 12,000 feet, which makes sense because generally flights that are headed to the south of LaGuardia get a max altitude to climb to of 12,000 feet while on this departure control frequency. Let's move forward a little bit further.
Endeavor 5145, turn right heading 320, climb maintain 12000.
Right, 310, climb maintain 12000, there, 5145.
Didn't the controller say to fly heading 320 and the pilot read back 310? Interesting.
Hey, Endeavor 5145, I need you to make that right turn now immediately, heading 320. This is the third transmission that you've gotten incorrect now.
We are having a little bit of an issue. Can you give us a block? We're just sorting it out right now, sir, for number 5145. We're going to need a block of head.
What altitude do you need?
Altitude, we're fine. It's the heading that we cannot track right now, and I'm running the checklist as we speak.
Okay, Endeavor 5145, continue your right turn. I'll tell you when to stop your turn.
Sounds good. We'll continue right turn. It will call when to stop the turn.
Well, that's quite interesting. So I kind of know what's happening right here. The controller is expecting the pilot to make these turns as he's telling her to do so, and it's just not happening. It's not matching up on the radar screen, and the controller is becoming a little bit frustrated, but the pilot comes back and she indicates that, yeah, there's a problem with their heading. So the solution for this is something that's very, very rarely heard on any air traffic control frequency. The controller basically just tells the pilot to turn, and then he will tell the pilot to stop the turn once the pilot is facing in the appropriate direction. Very, very unique, very, very rare. What's going on in the cockpit? Let's listen into the next transmission.
New York, can we actually stop the climb at 10,000? That probably will help a little bit too.
Endeavor 5145, stop your climb at 10,000. Expect some delaying vectors until we figure out what you need.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir. 10,000, we'll stop the climb and we'll continue the right turn until you call it.
Endeavor 5145, stop your turn.
We'll stop the turn right now, Endeavor 5145.
So she wants to climb to 10,000 feet only, not the 12,000 feet that was requested of the pilot earlier, and the controller came back and said, stop your turn. So the controller's looking at the radar scope and notices the plane turning. The plane is pointing in the direction that he wants the plane to go, and he says, stop your turn. Now, although we're not at the 7-minute mark in this particular video, I'm looking at the audio recordings down here, and we're actually in the 7-minute mark of transmission. So this airplane has been doing a lot of weaving around in the sky. Let's hear what the next transmission is.
Endeavor 5145, make a right turn.
Right turn, Endeavor 5145.
I'll tell you when to stop that turn again, just like before.
Sounds good. There is a very good likelihood that it will have to go back, but I'll keep you posted.
I understand Endeavor 5145, and this radio that you're using is still coming in very weak and barely readable.
Okay, we'll try on the second radio, Endeavor 5145.
Yeah, I agree with that it's very difficult to hear her. And as you can see, the air traffic controller is still giving a turn and stop the turn instruction. Now remember, we're several minutes in and the air traffic controller is still talking to other pilots on the frequency. There's a lot going on. So he wants to make sure that these turns are given to avoid other traffic in the area. Here's the next transmission.
Endeavor 5145, I'm showing you climbing. Just make sure you level at 10 if you can, please.
Roger, level at 10.
Endeavor 5145, continue your right turn when you're able as well.
Continuing that right turn there, 5145.
So as you can hear, the other pilot in the cockpit responded to that one. Sounds like he's got a better radio than the other one that we heard earlier. And the controller just wanted to confirm the altitude. Everything seems okay. This is getting interesting. Let's listen into the next transmission, which happens around the 9-minute mark or so.
Endeavor 5145, are you able to continue right?
We can, yes. And what heading are you currently showing us for 5145?
Here about a 350 heading, sir.
All right, sounds good, thank you.
So the pilot just wants to verify that the heading that he sees in front of him is the actual heading that the controller sees on the radar. That's a good idea. Moving forward until about 10 minutes into the flight, we hear this.
Endeavor 5145, stop turn. Endeavor 5145, stop your turn.
We're stopping the turn.
He didn't hear the first transmission. So all of these turns keep the aircraft within this controller's airspace because we do not know what the intentions of the pilot are, where they're going to go. So the controller is just circling this aircraft around within the airspace. This is generally happening over the area of the Bronx and parts of New Jersey, around the George Washington Bridge or so. This is all airspace that's controlled by this LaGuardia departure controller, who's frantically talking to other pilots on the frequency that are departing LaGuardia Airport, aircraft that are just passing through the airspace, and other flights such as departures out of Newark Airport. There are a lot of things happening in the airspace right now. Let's listen into the next transmission, which happens very shortly after the one we just heard.
Endeavor 5145, for your information, I'm showing you on about a 040 heading.
All right, that's getting a little closer to what we're showing there, 5145.
Endeavor 5145, when you have the opportunity, I'm just looking for a little bit more information of what issues you're having, and if you want to declare an emergency or if any assistance is needed that I can provide.
Stand by, we'll let you know.
Understood, thanks.
Yeah, I'm curious myself because apparently something is not right in the cockpit when it comes to the compass, but I don't know exactly what it is. The controller wants to know. He's also quite busy, but let's listen into the next transmission to get some more information out of this.
NER for number 5145. I'm just going to talk to company, see what the game plan is, and chances are we're going to head back to JFK. Stand by. I will let you know what the course of action is. Thank you so much for your assistance.
I'm sorry, Endeavor. I was on the landline there, so I missed most of that. Do you need any other assistance at this time?
New York Endeavor 5145. Just stand by. We're going to contact company. We're looking at potentially going to JFK.
Okay. Are you able to descend at all? Could you work at maybe 9 or 1,000?
Yes, we can do 9 or 1,000, 5145.
That's great. Endeavor 5145, descend to maintain 9 or 1,000.
So maintain 9 or 1,000, Endeavor 5145.
Okay, so chances are high that this aircraft is going to go to JFK Airport, not return to LaGuardia. Most flights, if they do declare an issue after takeoff from LaGuardia, tend to go to JFK because JFK has got the long runways. The runways at LaGuardia are only 7,000 feet long, so if there's any issues, there's more room for maneuverability at Kennedy Airport. Let's listen into the next transmission.
Endeavor 5145, I'm going to give you another right turn. If you start a right turn now, I'll tell you when to stop.
Starting right turn, 5145.
So there are actually no transmissions between now and another 3 minutes. So the controller has the aircraft make a right-hand turn. He just said, I'll tell you when to stop. So this is a very, very large turn that the aircraft is making. Let's fast forward to 3 minutes down the road here and see what the next transmission is. Hopefully it's to stop the turn.
Endeavor 5145, if you can, continue that right turn.
Continuing right turn, Endeavor 5145.
So the controller wants the pilot to continue that right-hand turn. Again, this is just keeping the aircraft within his airspace, under his control, because we don't really have the official clearance to go to Kennedy Airport or leave this airspace. So he's just basically circling around in the airspace. And about 2.5 minutes later, we hear this.
Endeavor 5145, stop turn.
Stop and turn.
Okay, so finally the aircraft is told to stop the turn. We'll move forward to about another minute or so, and this is what we hear.
Endeavor 5145, for planning purposes, I just want to confirm that you're going to be going to JFK. If that's the case, we're going to try to get you over into their airspace so we can sequence you in when you're ready.
Sounds like he's going to go to JFK. What does he say? Let's listen.
Yeah, that'll be the best course for us, going to JFK. We're not quite ready yet. But yeah, over into the airspace would be all right for 5145.
Okay. Endeavor 5145. No problem. Does this altitude work for you when you're running through your checklist, or do you want anything else?
Yeah, this altitude works for now for running the checklist.
Endeavor 5145, Roger. You can start a right turn again, maintain 9,000. You let me know when you're ready to go back inbound to JFK, and we'll work you out from there.
All right, we'll start that right turn, maintaining 9,000. We'll let you know. Thank you so much for your help. 5145.
So we're getting closer to moving over to JFK's airspace. The controller has asked the aircraft to make a right-hand turn. Next transmission comes about 20 minutes after the plane took off from LaGuardia. But I want to point out a transmission that occurs to another aircraft on the frequency who's actually quite close to this Endeavor Air flight. The controller wants to make sure that this aircraft gets out of the way of Endeavor Air. Let's listen.
From 2 Bravo Alpha, I wanted to send you to get you out of the way of an emergency. You put in the Bravo to send to maintain 6,500.
To maintain 6,500, 2BA, copy.
Endeavor 5145, we're going to vect you now towards JFK. Make a left turn.
All right, turning this into a left turn, Endeavor 5145.
So you heard the air traffic controller clear an aircraft of this Endeavor Air flight, and now the plan is to get the aircraft towards JFK. So starting the left-hand turn will bring the aircraft not necessarily towards JFK itself, but to the airspace of the JFK air traffic controller for New York Approach Control, who's actually located in the same exact facility that this controller is. This controller just handles a different sector, specifically flights to and from JFK. 21 minutes after takeoff, we hear this.
Endeavor 5145, stop turn.
Sorry, go ahead for 5145.
Endeavor 5145, stop your turn.
Stop in the turn.
Endeavor 5145, we're going to give you a frequency change. Just let me know when you're ready to copy that.
Go ahead for that frequency change.
Endeavor 5145, contact Kennedy departure on 132.4, 32.4.
32.4, Endeavor 5145. Thanks for all your help.
You're welcome. So long.
So with this new heading, the aircraft has left the LaGuardia airspace, is heading towards Nassau County, and is now being told to contact the new air traffic controller in the same facility for Kennedy Airport. Let's listen in to the initial contact with this controller.
Kennedy, Endeavor 5145.
Sir, 5145 New York, good evening, fly heading 090.
Alright, we'll try and fly heading of 090. We've been having a hard time holding any headings. LaGuardia was just turning us and telling us when to stop.
Okay, Endeavor 5145, turn left, start the turn now, I'll let you know when to stop.
Alright, starting the turn, you'll let us know. Thank you, 5145.
Endeavor 5145, stop turn.
Stop and turn.
Well, that was fast. I'm not really sure if the LaGuardia departure controller really passed the message along to the next controller that the pilot needed to be told when to stop the turn. As you heard, the controller just issued the pilot a heading, but the pilot came back and said, well, we were just on the other frequency, and the controller told us when we should and stop our turn. But nonetheless, the message got across to the controller, so the controller told the aircraft to turn and then to stop the turn. We're now moving on to around the 23-minute mark or so let's listen in to what happens now.
And Endeavor 5145, turn left. I'll let you know when to stop turn.
Start a left turn now, thank you, Endeavor 5145.
Okay, that makes sense. The aircraft has progressed into Nassau County, and the controller is trying to figure out where to have this aircraft kind of just wait in his airspace before a final decision is made to officially go to Kennedy Airport. Of course, the pilots are working out the issues in the cockpit with checklists right now. Next transmission is now.
Endeavor 5145, stop turn.
Stop the turn, 5145.
Okay, the aircraft has stopped the turn. So the controller comes back with a question.
And Endeavor 5145, are you guys ready to come inbound now to Kennedy, or do you still want some time to do some checklists?
We are currently on the line with company and trying to run a checklist, see if we can troubleshoot, but so yeah, not quite for 5145.
Roger that.
All right, so the only thing the controller can do is just wait until the pilot declares that they want to officially go to JFK. But as you can imagine, there's a lot going on in the cockpit between the pilots talking to themselves, and on another radio, they're talking to their company to figure out exactly what to do. Let's listen into the next transmission.
Kennedy, Endeavor 5145, just want to let you know. So our problem is that we're, all three heading sources are showing something different, so we don't know which one to follow. And so we're currently on the line, or trying to get a hold of the company to see if they want us to go to JFK or not.
Okay, understood. All three heading sensors are showing something different, so you don't know which one to follow. And I guess, you know, we'll declare the emergency for you if you haven't done it already yourself.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that'll be good for 5145.
There, 5145, thank you, sir. And when able, just let me know how many people are on board and how much fuel in pounds.
We'll let you know. We'll try and get that real quick.
Thank you.
I was wondering when the pilot was actually going to declare the emergency. The controller did it for the pilot, which is acceptable in this situation. Again, there's still a little bit of time left, so things are still going to have to work out. Shortly after that, here's the next transmission.
Endeavor 5145, I'm just curious, the heading sources, you look like you're flying about a 120 heading right now. Do any of the heading sources correlate with that?
Yes, it looks like it might be working right now. At first, so the procedure is we cross-check all three sources, but neither one would seem to be giving us reliable information, including the compass. So that's why we're a little baffled and trying to troubleshoot. Looks like we actually have the autopilot back on, and it seems to be working. I just have to run it by company, make sure they don't want us to do anything different, and I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am.
No problem. Thank you for helping us.
No problem.
Okay, now that it seems like things are resolved, we're moving in the right direction. However, we can't just go ahead and land, of course. The controller does need to wait for the pilot to come back and officially say, we want to go to Kennedy Airport right now, and that's still happening on another radio, which unfortunately we can't listen into between the pilot and the company. Interesting. What's next?
And Endeavor 5145, I do need you to turn left. If able, fly heading 060. If you'd like, I could just call the turn.
I will try to do it on our own. If it doesn't work, I'll ask you to call. So you want a left turn 060, correct?
That is correct, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, assigning a heading like that is a great indication that things are returning to normal. She's going to try to fly a 60-degree heading just by using the compass and not relying on the controller to actually tell the pilot to stop the turn. Let's see what happens at the end of this rollout of the turn.
In New York, are you showing us on a 060 heading now?
Endeavor 5145, I am, yes.
Thank you, sir. Something is working finally.
No problem.
Something's working finally. That's great. What the controller is seeing on the radar is finally matching up what she's seeing on her compass heading. They're flying 60 degrees. Now the next transmission doesn't occur until about 2 minutes later.
NER friend number 5145. If you're ready, we have 73 souls on board. And a fuel remaining of about 2 hours.
2 hours. Okay, thank you. They just they want me to get the fuel in pounds. So whenever you can get that calculation, it'd be much appreciated.
Even easier, 8.6 pounds.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, it was really difficult to hear what she was saying, but whenever an aircraft declares an emergency, the air traffic controllers request the number of souls on board and fuel in pounds, just in case. Everything's going to be fine, of course, but that's what was asked of the pilot here, so she read that information to the controller. The next transmission is about 2 minutes later.
Endeavor 5145, I'm going to turn you to the left now. I need you to start going westbound. Endeavor 5145. You can turn left heading 270, and I'll let you know if there's any discrepancies with the heading.
Sounds good. We are starting a left turn to 270 with 5145. We're just waiting to hear back from company. We are going to have to go back at this point, most likely to JFK. I just need confirmation from company, and I'll let you know as soon as I can.
No problem.
Okay, so they will successfully wind up on the 270-degree heading, which is west, heading back towards the New York City area. This aircraft, of course, has been flying over Long Island for now, and she did indicate that they will probably go back to JFK. What's next? Well, that transmission occurs about 2 minutes later, and there's a change of controllers. You'll hear the controller's voice is different now.
Endeavor 5145, you needed some more time, right?
Yeah, we finally got through on the radio with company currently talking about going to JFK.
Okay. Endeavor 5145, I'm going to give you another turn. Turn left heading 220.
Left 220, Endeavor 5145.
So now the controller is starting to put this aircraft into the picture of arrivals. There are many airplanes that are being vectored to JFK at this time, and all of a sudden this aircraft kind of just pops up in the airspace and needs to get to JFK's runway. So the controller is going to start thinking about opportunities for this aircraft to fit in among the other arrivals to JFK. Of course, this aircraft should get priority because it is an emergency. Let's listen into the next transmission.
Endeavor 5145, turn left heading 170.
170 in the heading there, 5145.
Again, just a radar vector for the pilot to stay within the controller's airspace so they don't stray too far, and eventually they will be able to get into the traffic pattern to the runway of JFK. Here's the next transmission.
Endeavor 5145, turn left heading 090.
090, Endeavor 5145.
And about a minute later, here's the next transmission.
And Endeavor 5145, turn left heading 050.
050 in the heading there, 5145.
3 minutes later, the controller comes back with this.
Endeavor 5145, turn left heading 310.
Left 310 in the heading there, 5145.
And again, these are just turns that need to be made so that the aircraft does not stray too far. About 3 minutes later, the pilot comes back with a question. Again, she's hard to hear, but let's see if we can make her out.
And you are, for planning purposes, which runway should you plan to select? What should you ride into JFK?
Completely up to you. Endeavor 5145, turn left heading 240.
Left 240 in the heading, Endeavor 5145.
So the controller says that the pilot can land on any runway that she chooses and issues another turn. And about 2 minutes later, we hear this.
Endeavor 5145, turn left heading 180.
Left 180, Endeavor 5145.
This aircraft is getting turns all over the place. 180 degrees, of course, is heading to the south. Again, keeping the aircraft around the Nassau, Suffolk County area into the airspace of JFK. Here's the next transmission.
Endeavor 5145, turn left heading 090.
Left 090, and we are set up for runway 22 right, and we are ready for vectors for the approach whenever you are.
Great, so you're ready to come in now is what you're saying?
Yes.
Endeavor 5145, turn left heading 040. You can expect ILS 22 right approach.
Left 040, expecting the ILS 22 right approach, number 5145.
Endeavor 5145, descend to maintain 6,000.
Descend to maintain 6,000, 5145.
Down 5145, when you get a chance, I just need the numbers from you, people on board and fuel in pounds.
We have 73 people on board. Fuel is 7,500.
Thank you.
Okay, so the controller once again asked for that pertinent information that an emergency always needs to provide, and the aircraft is ready to come to JFK. Now, this is the difficult part for the controller because all of a sudden this aircraft is ready. We want to get this aircraft in as quickly as possible, but there are a lot of other airplanes coming into Kennedy Airport. Here's the next transmission.
Number 5145, turn left heading 340.
340, number 5145.
So this 340-degree heading points the aircraft towards the northwest, which sets the aircraft up for a left base leg to runway 22 right.
Tower 5145, maintain 5,000, contact final 125.7.
We'll go down to 5,125.7.
No problem, good night.
Okay, now one thing about this frequency that the pilot is exiting is that I actually did not hear any transmissions from any other aircraft on this frequency at all. It's almost as if this frequency was dedicated just for this particular pilot. But now that everything is A-OK, the aircraft is able to make turns and go in the heading that the controller assigns and descend lower, the aircraft is now going to contact the final approach controller into JFK. And this air traffic controller, let me tell you, is really, really busy. So this airplane is on a northwest heading just to the east of Kennedy Airport and needs to be vectored into the approach among other aircraft. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have you listen in to the pilot, but I'm also going to play some of the air traffic control so you can hear how busy the air traffic controller is with other traffic coming to JFK.
And of course, another 5145 descended to 5,904, 5,940.
JetBlue 1568, the altimeter Kennedy 3003.
003, JetBlue 1568.
Endeavor 5145, turn left heading 320.
Last 320, another 5145.
Before I play anything else, the controller is so busy that when Sheik checked in, he actually spoke to another pilot on the frequency because he's busy vectoring other aircraft. Let's listen into some of the air traffic coming into JFK right now.
Alaska 30, turn left heading 310.
310, Alaska 30.
JetBlue 2884, contact Kennedy Tower 119.1.
19-1, JetBlue 2884, take care.
American 333, descend and maintain 2000.
Cleared now to 2,000, American 333 heavy.
JetBlue 720, descend and maintain 3000.
Now it's time for a transmission to Endeavor.
Endeavor 5145, turn left heading 300, descend and maintain 4000.
Last 300 down to 4,000, number 5145.
Okay, again, this heading points the aircraft to the northwest. The air traffic controller issued a lower altitude. We're getting closer for the aircraft approaching final approach. Let's listen into other aircraft on the frequency. The approach controller is really hustling.
Final JetBlue 210, taking it 4,000.
JetBlue 210, thank you, the altimeter 3004.
3004, JetBlue 210.
American 333, turn left heading 290.
290 heading, American 333.
Alaska 30, turn left heading 290.
290, Alaska 30.
2 Delta Charlie, turn left heading 260. JetBlue 1568, turn left 010, descend and maintain 3000.
010, 3000, JetBlue 1568.
Alaska 30, turn left heading 2603 from Zalpo 2000, full establish cleared ILS runway 22 left.
260, 2000 till stoppers, clear for the ILS. 22 left, Alaska 30.
JetBlue 720, turn left heading 320, reduce speed to 210.
320 down to 210, JetBlue 720.
Alaska 30, reduce to 170, contact Kennedy Tower 119.1.
Kennedy Tower and reduce to 170, Alaska 30.
Okay, it's time for a transmission to Endeavor.
Endeavor 5145, you have information in uniform?
Yes, another 5145.
So on top of all this, the flight deck crew listened to the airport information, which is currently labeled uniform, on another frequency. This gives information about weather conditions and active runways at the airport. The pilot confirmed that she listened into it, and now the controller comes back with this.
Endeavor 5145, turn left heading 270. Endeavor 5145, turn left heading 270.
Last 270, number 5145.
270 is heading to the west, which brings the aircraft closer to the final approach course to runway 22 right. Next up is this.
Endeavor 5145, descend and maintain 3000.
Down to 3,000, number 5145.
Obviously, 3,000 feet is a lower altitude, so we know we're getting closer to landing. Here's the next transmission shortly after that.
All right, Endeavor 5145, turn left heading 250, 8 miles from Matter, maintain 3000, full established, third ILS, runway 22 right.
Heading 250, 3000 to establish, clear for the ILS, runway 22 right, Endeavor 5145.
Now, I'm looking at the tapes here. We're at the exact 1 hour mark since the aircraft took off. The aircraft has been cleared for the approach to runway 22 right at JFK. Runway 22 right is one of the longer runways as opposed to runway 22 left at Kennedy. So in case there's any issues, there's plenty of room for the aircraft to slow down. But looks like the only issue was the issue with the compass. There's nothing wrong with the aircraft itself. The controllers did a great job. And now the aircraft can proceed on to the final approach course and land on runway 22 right. It's now time for the controller to switch the aircraft over to the control tower.
Endeavor 5145, contact tower 123.9er.
123.9, Endeavor 5145.
And now for the very first time, the pilot is going to switch frequencies to a facility other than New York Approach Control, Kennedy Tower, which is located right at Kennedy Airport. Let's hear this aircraft check in with Kennedy Tower.
JFK Tower, good afternoon, Endeavor 5145, ILS, runway 22 right.
Endeavor 5145, Kennedy Tower, wind 2008, emergency equipment standing by, runway 22 right, clear to land.
The clear to land, runway 22 right, Endeavor 5145. Thus far, we need no additional assistance.
Endeavor 5145, roger.
All right, she said we need no additional assistance, even though emergency equipment is standing by. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with the aircraft itself. The issue with the compass has been resolved. They're really going to JFK for precautionary reasons. It really doesn't make much sense to continue on to Savannah because there was an issue in the cockpit and we don't want anything else to happen. So Kennedy Airport is the right decision. There's a long runway at JFK Airport and Delta maintains a base at JFK just like LaGuardia. So any technicians that are in the airport can actually assist with the airplane, hopefully to get that aircraft right on to Savannah a little bit later in the day, which actually did indeed happen. I won't be playing anything else in terms of air traffic control because this aircraft landed on runway 22 right, cleared the runway and taxied to the gate just like any other flight does at Kennedy Airport. It's almost as if nothing happened. There was absolutely no need for the emergency equipment to stand by, but of course they're going to roll the trucks just in case. So I really hope you realize how safe the national airspace system is and how air traffic controllers and pilots work together. There was absolutely no point during this flight when the aircraft was in any form of danger at all. Yes, there was an issue with the compass in the cockpit, but the flight deck crew working with their dispatch was able to resolve the issue, and air traffic control did a very fine job keeping this aircraft away from other aircraft in the airspace, appropriately held the airplane so that the pilots can take the time to make a decision on what to do, and appropriately and successfully vectored that aircraft into the pattern at JFK. What an interesting event this was. The entire episode took about 1 hour and 5 minutes or so of flight. This was a very long flight from LaGuardia Airport to Kennedy Airport. It's not what the passengers wanted, but in the interest of safety, it was the right thing to do. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, which is very different than my other videos where I'm actually on an aircraft, filming out the window, explaining what's going on for mostly routine flights. This was just something that was so interesting that I wanted to bring to your attention because I focus very heavily on the New York City airspace on my channel. This is an event that does not happen very often, but when there is an emergency out of LaGuardia, a lot of times the pilots will opt to go to JFK just because it's a longer runway. And in this case, the company is Delta, so it's also another Delta hub. So I hope you really get a sense, not just from this video, but from all of my videos, of the context in which a flight operates. I'm not a pilot, I'm not an air traffic controller, but I've done a lot of research over the years about airspace and how aircraft are related to each other in the sky and how they can safely be brought from one airport to another in a very, very expeditious fashion. So I really hope that you learned something from this particular video, which again is quite different from my other videos. I will be back, of course, with more flight videos where I'm sitting as a passenger explaining what's going on in real time and also explaining how you're able to get these amazing views. And by the way, this flight was at night and I don't know exactly what the weather conditions were at the particular time, but the passengers on the airplane probably got some really, really good views of Manhattan multiple times as the aircraft spun around over the Bronx and northern New Jersey. And then, of course, some great views of Long Island as the aircraft got closer to Kennedy Airport. There was an hour of flight that the aircraft experienced. That's a long period of time to be flying around the New York City airspace. Well, Again, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, this is what my channel is about. It's about air traffic and relationships and how flying is a very, very safe way to travel. So please consider hitting the subscribe button below if you haven't done so already. Hit the bell button, hit the like button, and I'll be back hopefully with more videos like this, but with many more videos where I'm flying as a passenger explaining what's going on so that you can make the most out of your flight and understand how safe flying is today. Thanks everybody, I appreciate your time, and I'll be back very, very soon. See you on an airplane.